There is a prison we build inside ourselves, and only we hold the key. I spent 27 years behind bars, 27 years on an island where the wind carried salt and the walls were stone. But I learned something in that small cell, something I want to share with you now, in the quiet of this moment. The greatest prison is not made of concrete and steel. It is made of bitterness, resentment, and the refusal to forgive. And the door to freedom opens not from the outside, but from within. When I was young, I believed freedom meant the absence of chains. I believed it meant walking where I chose, speaking without fear, living under a sky that belonged to everyone. And yes, these things matter. But in the darkness of my cell, when the days blurred into years and the years into decades, I discovered a deeper truth. Freedom begins in the heart. It begins in the choice we make each morning when we wake, whether to carry yesterday's anger into today or to set it down and walk forward unencumbered. There were many nights when rage knocked at the door of my heart. I remembered every injustice, every stolen year, every moment of separation from the people I loved. The mind, when left alone with suffering, becomes a garden of thorns, and I could have cultivated that garden. I could have watered it with my tears and watched it grow wild and bitter. But I came to understand that such a garden would imprison me far more completely than any warden ever could. Forgiveness, I learned, is not something we do for others. It is something we do for ourselves. When we hold on to anger, we become its servant. We wake with it, we carry it through the day, we lie down with it at night. It shapes our thoughts, colors our vision, weights our steps. And all the while, the person who hurt us may have forgotten, may have moved on, may be living freely, while we remain shackled to a moment that has already passed. I want you to think about something. What burden are you carrying that no longer serves you? What old wound do you touch again and again, keeping it fresh and raw? What anger have you held so long it has become part of who you are? These things are heavy. They tire the soul. And you, my friend, have carried them far enough. When I walked out of prison, I made a choice. I chose to see my captors not as monsters, but as human beings who had been shaped by fear and ignorance, just as all of us are shaped by our circumstances. This did not mean I forgot what happened. It did not mean I pretended the suffering had not been real, but it meant I refused to let that suffering define the rest of my life. I refused to build my future on the foundation of past pain. Reconciliation is not weakness. It is the greatest strength a human being can possess. It takes no courage to hold a grudge. Anger is easy. Division is easy. Building walls between ourselves and others is the simplest thing in the world. But to extend a hand across a divide, to look into the eyes of someone who wronged you and choose understanding over vengeance, this requires a courage most people never discover. I think of reconciliation as a bridge. On one side stands who you were wounded, angry, trapped in the story of what happened to you. On the other side stands who you can become, free, peaceful, no longer defined by your scars, but by your capacity to heal. The bridge is built from forgiveness, and you must walk it one step at a time. Some days the steps are easy. Some days they are almost impossible. But each step takes you closer to the person you were meant to be. There is a field I used to imagine when I was in my cell. It was wide and open, touched by warm light. And in this field, nothing grew but peace. No walls, no guards, no yesterday, just the quiet breath of now. I held this field in my mind like a promise, and I realized after many years that I did not need to wait for my release to enter it. The field was always there, inside me, waiting for the moment I chose to lay down my weapons and walk into it. You have a field like this within you too. You have always had it. But perhaps you have been standing at its edge, unable to enter because your hands are full of stones, the stones of resentment, of remembered injury, of all the reasons you believe you cannot forgive. The field asks nothing of you, except that you put down the stones. It does not require you to forget. It does not ask you to say that what happened was right. It only asks that you stop carrying what is too heavy to carry anymore. I learned in prison that time moves differently when you are waiting for freedom. A day can feel like a year. A year can vanish like smoke. But there came a point when I stopped waiting for freedom to arrive from outside and started creating it within. I read, I thought, I studied, I held conversations with myself and with the few people I was allowed to see. I refused to let my spirit shrink to fit the size of my cell. And in this refusal, I found a kind of liberation that no key could unlock, because it had never been locked in the first place. Freedom is not a place. It is a state of being. It is the moment you realize that no one can take from you what truly matters: your dignity, your capacity for love, your ability to choose how you respond to what life brings. These things live in a part of you that walls cannot reach. And when you understand this, when you really feel it in your bones, you become unbreakable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because hurt no longer has the power to imprison you. There were people who asked me after I was released how I could sit at a table with those who had imprisoned me, how I could shake their hands, work alongside them, even share meals with them. And I told them this: I shook their hands because I refused to become what they had been. I worked with them because division had brought us nothing but suffering, and I wanted to show that another way was possible. I shared meals with them because I believed that if we could break bread together, we might begin to see each other as something other than enemies. This is the work of reconciliation. It is slow work, patient work, unglamorous work. It does not make headlines. It does not provide the satisfaction of revenge, but it builds something that lasts. It builds a world where children do not inherit their parents' hatreds. It builds communities where old wounds can finally close. It builds a future that is not simply a repetition of the past, and it begins with you. It begins in the quiet of your own heart, in the choice you make when you wake tomorrow morning. Will you carry yesterday's burden, or will you set it down? Will you feed the anger, or will you starve it? Will you build walls, or will you build bridges? These are not small questions. These are the questions that determine whether you spend your remaining years in prison or in freedom. I am old now, and I have seen much. I have seen hatred consume nations, and I have seen love rebuild them. I have seen people destroy themselves with bitterness, and I have seen people heal themselves with forgiveness. And I can tell you this with absolute certainty: the path of forgiveness is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to peace. You may be thinking, but you do not know what was done to me. You do not know the depth of my wound. And you are right. I do not know your specific pain, but I know pain. I know the weight of injustice. I know what it is to lie awake at night with rage burning in your chest. I know what it is to want revenge, to want the people who hurt you to suffer as you have suffered. And I also know that this path leads nowhere. It is a circle that brings you back again and again to the same place of pain. The alternative is forgiveness, not as an act of forgetting, but as an act of liberation. You forgive not because the wrong was small, but because you are too valuable to waste your life imprisoned by it. You forgive not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve the peace that forgiveness brings. You forgive because the alternative is to remain forever in the shadow of what happened, and you were meant for the sunlight. I want to leave you with this thought. Imagine that you are standing at the door of your own prison. You have been standing there for years, perhaps decades. The door is heavy, but it is not locked. It has never been locked. All you have to do is push it open and step through. On the other side is not a perfect world. There will still be challenges, still be sorrows, still be reasons to feel hurt, but you will be free. Free to love without fear, to trust without reservation, to live without the constant weight of yesterday pressing down upon you. The door opens inward. It opens with a simple choice, and that choice is forgiveness. Step through. The light is waiting.